Welcome back to the show. As always, Wednesdays at 9 o'clock Spanish time, I go live for an hour and answer questions or doubts you guys have about film photography, or as someone told me today, photography, and nothing. That's it. So yeah, welcome here. And I have a few questions that Svein asked me through an email. I encourage you guys to ask me things because it makes it a bit more easy for me to find what to talk about during this week. And I think it makes it more interesting for you guys. Any kind of questions you have about, film photography, traditional photography, medium format, large format, 35 like I have right now here, you're welcome to ask. So, Svein asks, what Polaroid back do I need to buy for my 4x5 Shanghai in order to shoot FP100C? I think I've actually taken that to the studio, but the FP100C in the current size, you can still find it pretty easily, is the 3x4, and you need the 405 back. So back in the day, there used to be a 4x5 back, which was the 550, Polaroid 550. And now, after they discontinued the 4x5 peel apart, they started, they kept on selling their FP100C on 3x4, and you use the 405, just so you guys know. So that would be the first question. Tyler Finn Photo asks, have you used the Hasselblad 220 back with 120 film? Tyler, I've had a few of my friends that use that same setup. So yes, it can be used. The only problem you will have is spacing is a little different. And as you know, this is Carl Zeiss icon. Sorry, I'll answer first, Tyler, and then I'll show you. So what you have to do is, 220 film had no backing paper. So supposedly the pressure plate is not so, it pushes a bit more than the normal 120. But I haven't seen any difference, or any of my friends. So what you do is you use a 120 roll and you shoot it normal. The only thing is you have to remember when it gets to 12, you got to kind of shoot blanks so you keep on advancing. If not, you'll be shooting into paper and you won't have any images. So you can do it, Tyler. The 220 backs for Hasselblad are pretty affordable if that's what you're thinking about. So do try it out. And I would keep those 220s. You never know who's going to come back with 220. Which that's been a question that's been asked a few times this week, is if I think 220 film will be back. If you guys haven't heard of what 220 is, it's the same as the 120 film, medium format film. But the thing is, it has, the 120, let's say, is a meter for a roll. It's not a meter, but it's around a meter, which is a yard. And the 220 is double that. So it gave you double the exposures depending on what camera. 6x6, you got 24 shots. If you had 6x7, you would have 20 or 21 shots. If you had a 6x8, you had 16 shots, and so on. The difference was there was backing paper, then no backing paper, then backing paper again. So you would get double the film in the same size of the roll. What happens is that film had to be treated for, like, how would you say, the advance wouldn't scratch, you wouldn't have any troubles. And I know for a fact that, for example, Ilford supposedly dumped their machinery to do that. So, sorry that I'm missing people writing. But basically what happens is that won't be made probably again unless Kodak can make it, or maybe Fuji still makes, or used to make some in Japan, and so on. So 220 film is long gone for now, and we'll see what happens. But you can load it on 120 film backs for the Hasselblad. Okay, so now back to the question. Someone asked me, what camera is this? This is the Zeiss icon, ZM. Someone before me blacked out the name with a Sharpie, and it looks terrible, even though it doesn't look that bad on the video. So that's why it's black, but you can see it on the reflection. Zeiss icon, ZM. It's a Leica M mount. It shoots on A, aperture priority, which makes you eat your rolls. Goes all the way to 2,000 of a second. This is a Leica M50mm Summicron I don't know what version, not the spherical. But yeah, everyone's curious about this camera. I'll make a review one day, but it's a fun camera. I shot a lot. I shot some for video, but I still haven't put it together. So let's go back down to the questions. Greetings from Panama. Hey, Max, nice to see you from Panama. I have a friend that actually lives there. I got one when I purchased my Hasselblad, tried one roll, but have not developed it yet. Thank you for your help. Yeah, develop it and be careful with those extra shots that you won't be getting because it's 12. Hi, Hogarth, he's making people upset. So yeah, I brought this over because I wanted to talk about the Leica M2. It's my favorite camera. Jose Maria, nice to see you. Jose Maria also owns an M2. This is a shutter release that I got from, I can't remember. That's pretty bad. If you go on my Instagram, you can see he makes these from skateboarding boards. So it's pretty fun. And this is my favorite Leica. So just so you guys would see if you had any questions. I've had the MP, I've had the M6, I've had or used the M3, and I still keep this one because it's my favorite. Svein says, is loading in normal Patterson tanks the same with 220? It is. All you have to do is just keep on rolling. Jobo is prepared for 2 rolls of 120, and Patterson is prepared too, but all you have to do is just keep on spooling your film all the way to the end. Do more gooder, shutter button. Yeah, exactly, Thao. Sorry, that was a bad forget. As he sent me this as a care package, which was very nice of him. I like it. I used to skate. I even published a few articles on skate magazines, not for photography, but for interviewing people. And I have a strong history with skateboarding, so it's nice to see him, see them use it. Or it's not upgrade or recycle, it's upcycle, what I heard, which sounds really good. So yeah, and back to the questions they were asking. I got back slides from lab yesterday. I want to shoot more slide. Spain is in Norway, just so you guys know. Where can I buy cheap film? eBay, the online stores in Norway have them for 15 euros per 120 roll. So depending on what country you're in, it's hard to buy film or compare prices. The best prices are always in the US, and that's probably because they have the strongest market for film users. But in Europe, you've got Macro Direct, you've got Photo Impacts, you have Parallax in the UK, you have AG Photographic, you have labs in stores in Spain, Fotocarrete, you have Carmencita, who also sells film. And some other stores, Ars Imago probably sells it, but you're probably going to find it cheaper than 50 euros a roll. I mean, Velvia 50 is expensive. Tao says, I hoard 220 for no good reason other than convenience when shooting 6x9 and 6x17. Yeah, when you shoot big format, you want those double rolls. Showed your 120mm, loved camera. My favorite 120 medium format camera is probably my Mamiya RZ. It's not that I dislike others, it's just I find it to be the most convenient camera for pretty much everything you want to shoot except for handheld walking around for a long time because of its weight. I like the bellows, I like the convertible back, I like the lenses, I like the viewfinders, I like the focusing screens, I like having grid and choosing to have like micro prisms and split screen, easily changeable by oneself. I like the one, you just shoot and you just advance. So that's probably my favorite. I've had the Mamiya 7, I've had so many different cameras, and the one I keep on going for when I want to shoot portraits, I like the close-up. So yeah, Mamiya RZ67. My only minus with it is the weight and the max shutter speed of 1/400th. That's the only problems I have with the camera. Oh, lots of people joined, no questions. So I'll go back to what I was saying about film. Slide film, here in Spain, Velvia 50 is around 10 euros in 120, and Provia is a little cheaper. So it depends on your country, guys, but check online. There's always good prices, and try to find a few friends so you can ship together and get better prices. Hedu Mendez says, do you think New 55 would ever do peel apart film for Polaroid or Mamiya backs? I actually had a conversation today with Sam and Bob Crowley from New 55, and they have a Kickstarter going, which I don't know if you guys know. I made a video, I think on Monday or Tuesday, or maybe Sunday, I can't remember, about supporting them and how I support what they do. I know their product is maybe not perfect, but I think their commitment is something to be, you know, proud of. And as a film shooter, I don't want anyone out of business. And that's what we were talking about, you know, trying to help them. And I've got no affiliation with them. They don't pay me for all the videos. They actually, I mean, I have one box I still haven't shot. They were making fun of me about that. And basically, they've said it before. New 55 is the only peel apart film made today. They are working to make it better. They have already tested making color and probably could get a color New 55. And that would be, let's say, the way to end up making peel apart film for a Polaroid, like a land camera or a Mamiya back. So if we want to see any Polaroid, you know, like the FP100C kind of peel apart film, the only people that are qualified at this very moment to make it and have maybe committed to keep on trying is New 55. Cat Labs said they were going to make, they had that we will make pack film, but they haven't said a word since, and I don't know if they've stopped or they maybe are waiting to announce it when it's ready. So I have my expectations that maybe that will be a nice surprise. But so far, the only people that are open about it and have said that they're working towards getting there one day is New 55. They're asking on their Kickstarter for $150,000 to improve their New 55. If you're into building things, manufacturing in a company business, I work with wood, you understand that $150,000 is not a lot of money to make a new machine and develop new things. So I do understand it looks like a lot, but if every single person that liked film or wants to maybe shoot 4x5 or just wants to support, they can buy a t-shirt, they can buy a pack of film, they can buy anything they want and support them. I understand that the conversation on the video I had was about how the quality is not up to standard. I do understand that that's an issue. I think they've improved, but the problem is, remember, they had a Kickstarter that was very successful and they made the first batch, and the first batch is a first batch. It's like the first time you drive a car, the first time you date a girl or a boy, the first time you shoot a film, or the first time you develop film. It's always going to be first time, and it's not going to be great. And the problem is, all those Kickstarter backers judged New 55 on that first product. So we have to believe that they've gotten better, which I think is true. I haven't tried it myself, so I can't speak from my own experience. Hopefully I'm going to get some more, and I'll be developing it and shooting it for videos, so I can show my own experience with it instead of saying I think it's great. And I think they've gotten better, but they've lost all those first users that were so excited about it, thinking they were going to get Polaroid 55 back, and they got New 55, which was the first batch, was, you know, hard to work with. The film would fall, it would jam, the pod wouldn't open, and that's what happened. So that's what I think. Spain says, so this is a great time to buy a Polaroid back before someone launches a pack film. I mean, Polaroid backs have been pretty inexpensive for the last few years. The 545, which is the one you use with New 55, I've seen them for 10 bucks, 20 bucks. I've been gathering a few of them, and I have probably 7 or 8 of them, because I do believe that New 55 will make it, and I want to be ready to do workshops with New 55. I do understand it's an expensive product, and, you know, not everyone wants to try it out, but I do think the instant photography has a really fun factor to it, and I want to show it. I want to show people what it is like. I shot in the studio last Thursday, Impossible 8x10, which I'll be doing a video about, and that was so fun. I actually have an Impossible no, sorry, Polaroid processor. Over here I have 2 of them, and I'll be making videos about Impossible 8x10 and what you can do with it, peeling it, how do you do emulsion lift, and so forth, which is already being covered a few times on YouTube. But I think there's always a new perspective, maybe something someone didn't say or didn't experiment with, and I want to try to do that. But at 17 euros a shot, or 18 euros a shot, is something that one has to think about what he's going to do. I can't just shoot a flower and do it for fun. I want to get something that's worthy of using the film. That's why I haven't used my new 55 yet. I was thinking of what to shoot, but I got to get it used because it's going to get expired. But yeah, and what you were saying about the Polaroid backs, the 545 are cheap. The 405 for the FP100C are getting cheaper because the FP is going to be gone soon. And then the 550 and the older versions that don't work with pretty much any film nowadays, because unless you buy some old film on eBay, have gone cheaper. But the Hasselblad backs, the Mamiya backs, and all those are kind of redundant nowadays, because those were made for exposure checking in the studio when you were doing flashes. And if you ever use an FP100C with the Hasselblad, it gives you the 6x6 little square on that big 3x4 film, and it's so sad to use. So I don't recommend getting I actually have a back somewhere there, but I don't recommend getting that Polaroid back. If you're going to shoot medium format and that FP100C, the minimum I would say is the RZ67, which does that 7x7 square, which is pretty fun. And then if you want to shoot on the Mamiya 6x9, the land cameras, or the 4x5s, that's much funner. You know, you get the whole frame and you get like a good glimpse of what it's about. So yeah, that's what I recommend. If you guys are thinking that pack film will be back, it's gonna only come through, at least that I think, through New 55. So if you're thinking about it and you don't have a 4x5, you can support them by, you know, just giving like $10 or $5 or anything like that. I mean, at the end of the day, I think about it this way. If, I don't know, New 55 I think has like 30,000 followers on Facebook. If each follower gave $5, that would fulfill their Kickstarter, and $5 is not a lot of money. If I don't know, Ted Forbes, which is on YouTube and he does awesome work, he's got like 200,000 followers. If everyone gave $1, they would fulfill New 55. So in terms of amounts of money, it's not that much money when you think about how many people are following photography and maybe wouldn't want to see a product die before it got to be good. Dao says, I wonder if Instax Square can be adapted for 6x6 backs. I'm like 100% sure someone's working on that. Like the whole Instax backs for medium format cameras and Instax backs for like the Square for Hasselblads and Bronicas. Someone, I'm sure, is working on that, and we'll see Kickstarters for that, and then you'll just roll it out and you'll get your little Instax Mini. In my opinion, I don't think I would ever shoot Instax Square on a medium format, just because I rather shoot normal film. I understand the you know, instant. What I want to see is a good instant camera that shoots instant Instax, either square, wide, or mini, whatever it is, because that's what it would be fun. Like imagine something that you had all manual dials, something easy with aperture, you know, and focus, and you could choose your shutter speed, and you could take a picture, because every single Instax camera is pretty much, I wouldn't say dumb, but it's supposed to be smart. But I want to take my own pictures, not my camera. And so yeah, Leica had to go with that so forth. I don't know how to say that, pronounce it, but and they made, I think, a big mistake, even though they're selling them. It's basically Instax Mini, the 90. Just put a little bit leather or something and make it like prettier and charge 3 times more, and they made the Leica Instax so forth. But yeah, hopefully someone will make something interesting. They had the Jolly Pod or Jolly Instant camera, which was just a cardboard I pronounced it perfectly. Thank you. I always get things wrong in pronouncing, as I'm not native English. I thought Impossible would bring Peel Apart after buying Polaroid, but I guess that's just being too hopeful. Having their own line of cameras now. I don't think the Polaroid Impossible joint, now that they're together, and I mean together because actually it's the main stockholder of Impossible has bought Polaroid, and the name and the brand and whatever, but Polaroid is basically, I think, and this I talked to Florian Caps and he didn't know exactly either, or didn't tell me, or I didn't understand him. It's just the name nowadays. They sell a bunch of rebranded stuff. They even sell some Instax film as Polaroid, which was the Polaroid 300, I think. And I don't think there's any machinery left. I think all their factories have been demolished. So I don't know if they have the know-how left over to make Peel Apart, but Impossible has already stated a few times that they're not in the ability to make Peel Apart, you know, 6x9 or 3x4 film. So I think our hopes from that coming from there is not going to be probably happening. And if someone's waiting to see if that's going to happen, maybe we will lose on the way the only person or people that were, like, you know, capable of making it, which is New 55. And something that I thought about, and I didn't say in my video, is if you think about it, New 55 is actually, I think it's $15 per shot. But you get a positive and you get a negative, and they both have the same ISO. So your positive you can hand out to someone, or you can hang on your wall, you just keep as proof, and your negative you can enlarge or scan. And they're the same ISO, which new Polaroid 55 wasn't. Polaroid 55 had, like, I think it's like 2/3 more ISO on one side than the other, so you had to expose either for the negative or the positive, and one would be not trash, but pretty much trash. So $15 you get an instant print, and you get a negative 4x5 that you can print or scan and do whatever you want with. So if you think about that, I mean, a 4x5 negative nowadays is around $2 to $3 once developed. So, and if you're doing it in a lab, it's more than that. And a contact print, if you have to do it, it's going to cost you at least $4 to $5. So if you think about what it gives you in one shot, the value is pretty close to what it's worth as a film. So that's something else I think people should think about. I mean, if I shoot a 4x5, even if it's FOMA, which is cheap, and I develop it in my lab and I contact print it, it's going to cost me that much. But it takes time and it's not immediate. So that's the fun part of what I want to test, is the New 55, doing some immediate shots and developing it on the go. I might take a little tray with fixer so I can fix it when I'm out. But yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing that, I'll probably make it soon. Any other questions or anything like that? I saw the Zeiss came out with a new Milvus lens. Those names are horrible. Really curious how it would look with Portra 400 on your F3. What I've heard, and I'm not an expert on these new line of lenses, is that they're all really, how do you say, built to be really good wide open. Most of us know that the classic lenses at wide open are usually not perfect. They have some distortion, or they lack sharpness and stuff like that. I mean, Leica glass is known to be some of the best, but these Zeiss lenses are supposedly really good all the way from f1.4 or f2 or whatever they are. And that's why they're so massive. What they make is the glass really big, and then they use the center so it's really sharp. Because if you know, usually the mid-center of your lens is the sharpest part. So that's what they make them so big. That's why a 51.4 is humongous. So I don't know how it would do in film, if it would render good or not. I think it probably would. Can you estimate how many cameras you own? You're allowed to decline to answer. That's actually a good question. I'm not scared of saying what like how many cameras I have. I might be not shy, how do you say it? Embarrassed, but not really. I have like probably half of what I used to have. So that answers the first non-question you didn't ask. I probably own, I'd say maybe 30 to 40 cameras, but every camera I owned, I pretty much shoot. So like I shoot this, it has a roll inside. Actually, it has no roll. I shoot this like once every 2 weeks with my kids. I walk out the park, I put it on A, and I just shoot around. I take my skateboard and run around with them. I usually carry a hand strap and I just have it hanging. If you have kids, you guys will appreciate straps so much more. You just let it hang and you can help your kids and just get it back in your hand, because I hate having it hanging. The M2 I use on a daily basis for years now. I have an Olympus XA, which I've been using on and off, and this is the XA2, which Hogarth, this was given to me by Matt, the one you went on a trip through Russia, and I even have a little guide to know what the distances are for hyperfocal. So 2 little people is 1.2 to 1.8 meters, 2 whole people is 1.8 to 2.5, and then mountain is 2.5 to infinite. So this is my easy shooting. I just kind of point and shoot. It has a flash, I take it out. So yeah, I came to a point I had probably 10 Hasselblad cameras complete. I have one that's in a bag because I try to fix it. Oh, he was a pain. He did give me a camera. It was extremely nice. I've had Mamiya RZs. I had like 3 or 4. Pentax 6x7. I've had 5 or 6. Leica cameras. I probably had another 6 or 7. Pentax 672. I've had 2. One is supposedly Hogarth's because he says he wants it. It's broken. I've had multiple 8x10s, one 11x14, multiple 4x5s. I've had instant cameras. I have a 2 SX 70s, XAs, Contax T3, T2. So yeah, which one is my favorite? I would have to say, depends on the format. Overall, probably my big time favorite has been this Leica M2. I never wanted a 35 because I actually was very happy with medium format. I hated scanning 35. It's probably the worst thing unless you own one of those Pacon or Frontier scanners. And then a friend gave me basically this in hand and was like, this is so cheap, get it. So Tao has my Natura S1.9, which was a very, I paid 800 euros for that Tao, so just remember how much I lost when I sold it. So I got this, and this turned to be my favorite camera. It was so easy, it just didn't get in the way. You have that straight viewfinder, which is great. The frame lines are clean. It's the cleanest frame lines for 35 on any Leica. It has easy shutter speed and aperture, and it's just nice. So I started using this. But apart from that, I would say my Mamiya RZ is my favorite. So TLR, someone was asking, I have had the Rolleiflex 2.8F and the Rolleiflex 2.8E, and I haven't gotten used to them. I don't like them, I sold them. I have a few Mamiya C330s, which I think are awesome. I've said it before, Mamiya is probably my favorite brand making cameras. And I don't take along. I actually have Minolta Altocord over there right now, which I'm trying to use, but it's really dim focusing screen. So yeah, that's what I would say my favorite. Leica M2, Mamiya RZ67. The Mamiya 7 was also one of my favorites, just didn't use it that much. Sebi Jose says, hola Nico, me encanta tu canal y el hincapié que pones en la fotografía analógica, sigue así. Gracias, Jose. Hogarth says, sell it to me at 300 euros, lost to Hugh Letao. I'm guessing that's the Natura. The Natura, if you don't know about it, it's a Fuji camera that was made for the Japanese market. It was, I think it's a 24 1.9. The lens is so, it has to be so big in such a small body that when you turn it off, the lens touches the film. So it's touching. You turn it on and it probably goes like 1 millimeter away. And it had a special like night mode, which was ISO, you put ISO 1600 in it. So that's why the Natura. And it wouldn't use the flash, it would try to stay at night mode. So it was pretty fun. It took me like 2 years going through eBay searching for that camera till it came out. I bought it, I shot 2 rolls, and I don't know why I didn't use it again. It was one of those things you really want and then you realize you don't. Svein says, I agree with Mamiya, have the RZ and close to buying the C330 if I'm selling. I'm not selling them because I've stopped selling my gear because every time I sell I miss it and I have to buy it again. And I'm not selling because I bought these in bulk and they're kind of faulty. They have a few little things that are not working properly. So I'm currently trying to make, out of 2, making 1 that works. Thien says, do you have any news on the coming of Ektachrome? I have no news for you guys from Kodak. That's the thing about bigger companies, because I can talk to New 55, you can contact Ferrania, and Dave Bias is really nice and he'll talk back and he'll help you out. But when you talk to big companies and you try to talk to Kodak, there's so many people there that you're not going to get a straight answer easily. Same thing with Fuji, and Impossible is a little easier. So yeah, I'll try to see if I can get any news on the coming of Ektachrome. They said, I think fourth quarter of 2017. So they'll probably be getting it out. I did read an interview not long ago. I think it was Impulsive had an interview or someone like that. And they were talking about the fact that the Kodak that distributes the film, Kodak Alaris, doesn't make it. So it was Kodak in Rochester, which is making the film, which is the ones that make the cinematography film, that came out with a Super 8 camera. It's all Kodak, so it's all Kodak, but it's not. It's very weird. So came out with that Super 8, and they were like, yeah, Super 8 is awesome, but everyone's going to want slides. So they decided, oh, we can do slide film in Super 8. And that's when Kodak Alaris said, hey guys, why don't you just throw in it in the machine and make 35? And that's when Kodak Alaris announced Ektachrome, because Kodak Rochester, the one making the film, was going to make it for their Super 8. So the question about, oh, will it come back in 120 or sheet film, is something that's going to have to come from Kodak Alaris, asking them there in Rochester if they're willing to cut it into those sizes and backing paper and so forth. So we'll see. Another thing which I'm concerned about is the backing paper on Kodak has been going down in quality and giving a lot of troubles. So I hope they don't come out with slide film that doesn't work properly. So I don't know. I'll let you guys know as soon as I have news. I do the news show every Tuesday. And if there's any little hint I read anywhere, I'll let you know. Sometimes I have the time to ask companies about information. Sometimes I don't. So I just go through the internet researching everything I can to feature in the news. But yeah, I'll let you guys know. I'm very curious to see what the price point is. The quality I'm sure will be good. Coming from Kodak, I don't think they can risk it. But I'm really curious about the price point. Now that Fuji is, kind of like raising prices because they're on their own. Ferrania is still trying to make their slide film. And Kodak's going to be not on their own, but very close. Marlon says, Hola Nico, have you ever shot with a Leica El Merit 28mm with your M2? Any thoughts? I have. I had a webcam 8x10 that I changed for a Leica M6, a 28 El Merit, and a 90 El Merit, and I used that 28 for, I think it was like 4 to 6 months, and I loved it. If you're thinking about the frame lines, I'm not one of those big guys about frame lines are super important, so I don't mind if it's not perfect. What I would do, even though I did have the external viewfinder, is I use the whole window and I just kind of like give it a bit of wiggle room. I'm not concerned about my shots being perfectly 100% perfect in camera. I don't crop when I print, but I like seeing things that maybe I didn't see. I have next to me a few shots, probably some of those are made with the 28. I think my first shot was with my kids naked in the bath and the bubble bath, which I printed huge, but I can't show you guys because the internet doesn't like naked bodies, and unless it's for grown-ups. So yeah, I love it. I sold it and I should have not sold it. I won a 28 for Leica. I'm starting some workshops with rangefinder cameras and I'm missing a 28. I have the M2 with a 35, I have the Zeiss with a 50, I have another M2 with, what is it I have there? I think it's a 25, yeah, a 25. I'm gonna use the Contax G2 with a 45, and I have an M6 that I wanna use with a 28. So I need to find a 28 that's not gonna break the bank. The idea is people will shoot street photography on film with either a Leica or a Zeiss or the Contax and compare what out of focus is, what outer exposure would be, and choosing your own settings. So we'll see how that goes. So if you guys have a 28 from our Leica that you want to donate or sell me for cheap, I'll be happy to take your lens. But yeah, it's a great lens. If you're thinking about getting a 28, I think you should. And that 2.8, I had the one that's the pre-aspheric one, and it was awesome. 731, which I think is Jacob. Do you have any news on Fuji's discontinuation of their E6 films? What I did say to a friend is that I heard, and this is overheard, this is not even reading it anywhere online or talking to anyone physically from Fuji, that Fuji maybe has not been producing slide film at the time. This was someone I know that is very into the film industry and was saying that he would pay for his own trip if they let him walk into production and see them making slide film. And this was to say, if he was like, if someone would open the door and say, hey, come and see our film production, we're making Provia today, he would buy his ticket all the way from Spain, fly all the way there, check it out, tell people it's still being made, come back and just, you know, announce that it's still being made. And this guy used to collaborate with Mamiya in the design of cameras and stuff like that. So he is an old timer and he probably knows more than I think that he knows. So I pretty much trust if he has that gut feeling, it could be possible that Fuji's just has frozen jumbo rolls and they cut it depending on the demand. That's what they were doing on the FP100C. They said they had already kind of like turned down production before they announced it and they're selling their frozen stock. And Velvia 50 in sheet film supposedly was discontinued. Remember that story of that guy that bought a whole pallet of it, which was worth more than a house and blah, blah, blah. But you can still find it in Japan. You can buy the 4x5, the 8x10, and that's still being sold. So I don't know what happens with Fuji. They don't really talk a lot. Japanese companies are not very known to be open with their communication. Hogarth is saying hello to Jacob. So yeah, no news on that. But if Fuji does drop their E6, I think we will have to really wait for Ferrania to come out with a product, and I hope that Ektachrome is good. I'm really curious of, you know, what it will look like. Another thing is, once Ferrania comes with this P30 film, that same thing as new 55, like I bought the P30 film, I think they could only buy 5 rolls at a time, or per user or customer. And I bought my 5 rolls. I think I paid 11 euros per roll shipped. They still haven't been shipped or charged to me. So I'm hoping they'll come maybe before I go on holidays. But that's the same thing. I do not need ISO 80 black and white film made in Italy at this time. But I do need, or I do want to show my support to their products. When they had their slide campaign, I didn't pledge for them because I couldn't at the time, so I did do it this way. And I think that P30 is one of the reasons that Ferrania will continue, because they have been using that Kickstarter money for the last 3 years. They've had government support and all that. I highly recommend you guys listen to a podcast with Dave Bias, which he talks about his own history and Ferrania and where they are at the point, and how they found that P30 formula on a piece of paper, and that pretty much saved the company at the time being. And hopefully they'll be able to continue making that P30, stocking it up, selling it, and that will support them continue investigating the slide film. I don't think they want to come out with a new Kickstarter saying, hey, we ran out of money, we need more money to make slide film, because people tend to be pretty upset about that. But I think that's pretty much what it comes down to, is they need support to continue. So yeah, all these little companies trying to make film. We have now Shanghai in China came back with their film, which some of the 4x5 I've heard has issues with coating. It has little scratches, micro scratches on the emulsion, so that's not good. Lucky Film is back in business. Lucky Film, if you guys don't know, is a Chinese filmmaker, which actually was heavily invested by Kodak, and then Kodak pulled out their investment, I think 2004, and they've redone whatever they've done, and they're coming out with film again. They're doing 4x5, 5x7, 5x8, 8x10, 4x10 sheet film. So far I've only seen it in China. A friend of mine got it. He's going to be shooting it today or maybe tomorrow. I'll let you guys know how that film works. They don't even have developing times for their films, so you can buy the film, but they won't tell you, oh, use it 4 or 5 minutes in HC or D76. They only have one time for their own D76 that they sell. So yeah, that's the news from there. I haven't implemented it into the news this week because I got this, I think today or yesterday, and it was too late. But I'll probably see if I can put it in my news next week. Any other questions you guys want to know between any of the stuff I had brought out today or any filmy stuff? If not, I don't even know what time it is. Let me check. Okay, it's 10 minutes to 10. So if you guys want to ask anything else, let me know, and we'll see. I shot in the studio. What's about the failing darkroom tech? What do you about failing darkroom tech? Do you or have you ever shot 8x10 slide? Lightbox, if you can re-ask your question, I think I'm not getting it. I think I understand what you mean, but see if you can type it again. Hogarth, I have shot 8x10 slides. I have a box of Provia over there, which is probably looking purple by now. I'm going to shoot it, and I want to buy some more. As you know, I don't shoot slide, or I stopped shooting slide when they stopped making Cyberchrome, and I couldn't print my work. I never tried Cyberchrome, which is the only way you could print slide film onto positive paper. And now with the review for the Fuji GA645W, I shot Velvia 50, and I realized how much fun it is, even though you can only scan it. And I will be shooting hopefully some more 8x10. I want to see if I can get some 8x10 landscape. I will be needing something lightweight so I don't have to carry my CNR 8x10. And Lightbox, I think what you're trying to say, at Hogarth, I actually shot slide film 8x10 on editorial. It was for a model, so that was pretty fun. My Devere power died recently, major pain getting it sorted. Okay, so if you guys have any problems with Darkroom, what I've found in Photokina, which was very interesting, is there's two companies that are pushing really strong for the future of Darkroom, which I think is very much tied together to film. Even though nowadays most people go hybrid and shoot film and scan, and then they do zines or magazines or books or whatever, a lot of people still want to do Darkroom, and to me that's where most of the beauty is. It's Highland, Heiland, I hope I said that right. and Kienzle, which is Kienze. Those two brands are brands that are pushing the darkroom innovation. Highland makes densitometers. They make LED lights for enlargers. So if you run out of light bulbs, because they're probably going to make them illegal at some point because they're toxic for something, they're making that. They're making split grade analyzers. They're making LED lights for your darkroom. They're making the task processor, which is a little robot that will develop your film just like a Jobo, but without the bath. They're making all these kind of new products, and you can probably write him. I have direct contact with him if you ever need something. Really nice guy, Jurgen. And then Kienzle is making enlargers still. He's making 4x5, 5x7, 8x10, or whatever size you want, he'll make. I do actually know that Haylan and Kienzle have been working together, if I'm not wrong, to make a 20x24 enlarger for a friend in Russia. So Kienzle makes that. So if you can write him and you can ask him, hey, I have a Devere 4x5 that broke, the power died, or anything like that, and he'll help you out. They're really helpful. He makes enlargers, he makes easels, he makes presses, he makes print washers and all these things in Germany. If you also need help with him, write me a private message and I'll help you out. I'm happy to put user and brands together. I think we should all be more, blended in a small market we are. Have you ever used Creolite products for developing film? I have to say no, and actually I don't even think I know the brand, so I'll look into it. Moritz says, I have a Kienzle medium format enlarger, and it's awesome. It is. They make great products. They are probably like 3 times heavier than any other enlarger because they're just like solid machines. And I saw them at Photokina. He had the 8x10 enlarger and he did a little demonstration. I have it all on video, but I screwed the sound. So all my Photokina, Hayland, all the sound was screwed up. So maybe one day I'll make a recap of Photokina 2016. But yeah, those are the brands you want to contact if you need any help with that. So that's why I actually talked to them there. I found about their products and what they were making and how they were pushing, and I actually decided to work with them. And I'm trying to help them out in Spain, which is a small market, and language is usually a big barrier. I developed my own C41 film with Detenal C41 kit. They say you can develop approximately 9 rolls. I keep my chemicals in the fridge, and so far I've developed 15 rolls. Not sure if it will last. Do you have any tips to keep it still good? Okay, so when you develop C41, at least when I did, I haven't done it in a while, but I used to buy the 5-liter kits, but you can buy the 1 now. I think they only make 2.5 at this point because people were complaining they were getting old chemicals and stuff like that. What you do, or what I did, was first I would keep film exposed in the fridge or something like that and keep it there for a little bit. So I would have more rolls to develop when I had my chemistry mixed. Then once you mix it, develop as much film as you can on one go. And then I used to do, I think it was 12 or 18 per liter. And that's when I threw it. I would say if they say 9, you can probably do those 15 and that's enough. It won't just die from one day to the next. C41 chemistry would slowly degrade in quality and you'll start getting like color shifts and more grain and stuff like that. They even say that if you develop a high-speed film like ISO 400 or higher, it will last less because the developer has to work more. So I don't recommend maybe doing more of those 15. And once you open them and you develop, the recommendation would be take the air out and put it in the fridge. Some people grab the bottle, open it, and they put a plastic, like a Ziploc bag or a little plastic wrap. Those plastic wraps for the microwave and stuff for your fridge. And then they screw the cap so it kind of makes it sealed. Another good recommendation, if you can't squeeze it, is you fill it up with, how do you call them? Those round glass things, marbles. And all the way to the top, and those marbles, then when you like refill your developer or whatever, you use a little funnel and you keep those marbles. They won't screw your chemistry, and keep them in the fridge. And that's all I can say to keep those C41s. Svein says, I almost bought a Durst Laborator 1000 4x5 and larger for 200 euros. Mistake not getting it. I think a Durst Laborator 4x5 for 200 euros is a great price. So I would drive. I drove, I think it was 1,500 kilometers for Omega D5 color enlarger 4x5. And that I paid 1,000 euros, I think, back in the day. So yeah, I would drive for 200 euros. Me and Hogarth use the Arista kit, which says it will do 8 rolls, but we push it to 25 rolls, and I see no difference. And that's for E6. Yeah, you can push those kits. I wouldn't say it's bad, but I wouldn't say it's good either to push over their developing amount. In hobby user eyes, I say it's fine. If you're a pro user and you're making money off your film, I would send it to a lab. Keep labs in business. Actually, when I shoot color nowadays, I send it to a lab in Madrid because I don't shoot enough and the rolls just sit on a shelf for months. Horace says he's done up to 35 or so E6. So yeah, I mean, you can push it, but I wouldn't put my money on something that maybe won't work as good. Or if you want consistency, especially if you're printing your color film, is it worth to invest in a Hasselblad CF lens or just get the CT is good enough? As far as I know, optically, they're exactly the same. I have a CB, which is a lower grade than the CF 80, and then all my lenses are CT or C. I have a 150, which is the silver one, and it has a huge scratch on the front, and it works perfectly well. No one wants to buy it, and I don't want to sell it, but it works great. Even probably if you're shooting direct sunlight, it wouldn't affect a lot. So I say you go for the CT. They're good enough, they're cheaper. The only problem with the CT lenses is the bay is different. And for example, the 50 is a pain because the filters have to be like drop-in filters, and you got to screw the lens hood, then you need to get a cap for that lens hood, or unscrew everything, put a normal lens cap, put the filter away. But other than that, I think they're great lenses. I've had the 80 CT, I've had the 80 CF and the CB, and I wouldn't say you're gonna have a problem with the CT lenses. So yeah, let's see, what time is it? Oh, 10 o'clock. So I'm gonna call it a day for today. Thanks for joining me live and asking all these questions. I really enjoy helping out. I know that sometimes it gets a little slow, and I try to come up with things that I can talk about. And if you guys keep on enjoying it and watching these long live videos, I'll keep on making them. If something, people stop coming through and asking things, I'll just keep on with my normal videos. So yeah, thanks for joining, and see you next week. If you have any questions, as always, you can send me a direct message on Instagram or on YouTube or on so many different social medias, and I'll probably get back to you. Sometimes it takes me a little time, and that's why I make these videos, so I can do it all in 1 hour and ramble photography. So yeah, thank you, and good night to everyone.